welcome back to another trade recap. In today's trade recap, I'm going to go over the trades that I did take, the trades that I faded, overall bias coming in today, why my bias changed after I saw this big displacement lower, and overall just going to be talking about how I traded, why I traded. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Let me zoom in on my screen a bit here, and then make sure you can see him. Right, perfect. And then we're gonna fucking get into it. Right, so I ended up taking these longs today off a 2-minute CISD, 2-minute inversion, tap to 1 hour and SMT. But before that, I'm gonna talk about my bias coming into today. So I'm actually just gonna go jump on a fresh chart like RM.NQ for example, and I'll keep ES open because I don't need it closed. So right, so coming into today, when looking at my overall bias, I was leaning more bullish because we had this 4-hour gap unfilled up here, and then we had this data wick. I don't know what this data wick's from. I tried having a look, but I just couldn't tell. I noticed a data wick just due to like the sheer displacement. If I go on the 1 minute, like that is a data wick. You can tell that's a data wick by how the 1 minute's moved. And yeah, very, very obvious data candle. So I was looking at this data wick as a drawn liquidity, a nice drawn liquidity. And as well as that, we have, let me just jump in replay mode real quick. 4 mark open. So right, so we had this one hour fair value gap here. We didn't have these equal lows on NQ, so I wasn't paying attention to them, but these were SMT lows here, so this was nice sell side liquidity. And then we also had London low, which was also a 4-hour gap. So we have London low here slash 4-hour fair value gap, and then below that we had these 2 1-hour gaps here and here. So this 1 hour and this 1 hour. Now I didn't mark these 1 hours out originally. I marked these 1 hours out after we displaced through this sell side here, and just after we were like fucking about within the London low and 4-hour gap. So originally I did want to see longs, maybe like a retrace into this 1 hour gap, and then longs towards that high in the 4-hour. We were already enough 4-hour gap, but I did expect that to get inversed just because of how heavily we've displaced. As well as that, we do have an SMT with the weekly lows. Oh, I can see they've updated the chart actually since we've came so far back. I'll show you the SMT on this instead. So yeah, you can see here we've got this weekly low that we had SMT there. See that, and then right here. Boom. So we have this weekly SMT, which made me a little bit more bullish. Yeah. So I was leaning a bit more bullish because of that reason as well. Now I wanted to see long, so here I'll talk about the trade that I faded actually as well. So the first trade that I saw that I didn't really like was this 30-second short. I'm not going to be able to show you the 30-second. I looked at the 30-second on my Trade-Evate. I can't really be arsed pulling it up, to be honest. So, but what we did have here is we had this high, these relative equal highs here, and then we also had the CE of this rejection block here. That price ended up on open. We wicked into it. I don't know if we're on 1 minute first. We wicked into the CE, and then we ended up getting our IFEG between 515 and 503. So we had the SFEG right around there. Could have entered probably like halfway on this candle, wherever it was. It's probably about here. And then yeah, you would have targeted I probably just would have targeted this 1 hour because I expected us to reject off of that 1 hour. So that would have been my target if I did end up taking this trade. But I never ended up taking it. I ended up fading it just because my bias wasn't fully bullish, and I don't know too much about rejection blocks, so I don't really pay too much attention to rejection blocks, but this is a very good example of a rejection block working. So, but all a rejection block is basically just the CE of this big wick, because this big wick class is an imbalance in the market, so that's just all really a CE of the candle wick is 50% mark. We also respected the CE on ES as well. See that? Wicked it and then rallied lower. So that was the first trade you could have took. If you took that, fair play. If you were bearish, it was a good trade. I just wasn't too bearish, so I didn't like it. And yeah, I just didn't really like the trades. But I also don't really take 30-second inversions actually as well. I only just started recently taking 30 seconds because I realized you can use it on Trade-Evade. But I don't have the premium pass on TradingView, so I don't use it on TradingView. But that would have been a solid trade, 60 points, solid. Could have put your stop loss probably could have had a loose stop somewhere. Depending on where the stop loss would be on the 30-second. I also changed my my long and short box. What's it? Oh, I also changed my long and short box because I don't know. I like the purple. Purple's kind of cookery. So yeah, that was the first trade you could have took. I missed that trade. Well, not missed that. I faded that trade. And yeah, and then we ended up coming lower. We didn't really have any trades at the moment here. It did look like we were just going to be bearish up until these lower lows, as well as this London low. What I didn't mention as well is that London low and the 4 hour were perfectly in line with EQ of this bullish range, which was really, really nice. Literally spot on. It wasn't that perfect on NQ, but M and Q, very, very spot on. And then we ended up just trailing lower, creating 5-minute gaps, not really doing anything with these lows and stuff. We ended up coming to here, we just displaced through it, ended up tapping this 1 hour, and then at this point I was looking at this 15-minute gap that we had formed, because I was more bearish now. The fact that we were displacing quite heavily through EQ of this range, it makes me think that we're potentially not going to come back up here during this session, and we could just catch a continuation lower towards this sell side down here, which is Asia low, and then this 1 hour as well. So if I zoom in the chart a little bit more, go on the 5-minute for example, we started trailing up. So we left this sell side just above this 1 hour, so it was looking really, really, really nice for shorts. Also generating a lot of liquidity on the 1 minute on our way up towards this 15-minute gap, which was quite nice, as well as that I keep forgetting to mark things out. So we had this 1 hour CISD, this 1 hour CISD just above the 15 or just below the 15-minute gap, which was just super, super nice comp to add on top of the 15-minute. Solid point of rejection as well. We also had EQ just above the 15-minute gap. So super, super nice setup for shorts. If it played, I would have been fucking buzzing because I would have took it. But it never played. We ended up fucking about because Fed Chair Powell was speaking at 10:30 EST. It would have been 3:30 here. But we ended up generating liquidity in the opposite direction. So trend line trade was probably 8 right here for the shorts, not gonna lie. When you think about it. Boom. But yeah, anyway. So we took out all this, ended up sweeping out the 1 hour, creating a SMT with a low. Right there. So we took that out. Ended up holding this SMT here with this low. SMT. I don't know. I think we tapped into the other 1 hour. Did we? No, we never. So yeah, tapped the 1 hour. That was just below the sell side. SMT the low, had nice LR towards our draws. The top of this LR also being a 30-minute fair value gap, which was super, super nice. Now this is where it's important to understand conditions and stuff, because I was bearish here, but because we generated this liquidity, because we took out this sell side before tapping this 15-minute and 30-minute, and we SMT'd that low, that is an indication to me that we are going to probably continue higher towards this 15 minute. Even though we are very, very bearish on the higher time frame, we haven't done much retracement, and even this retracement, we inversed a 5 minute, we didn't tap anything. We left a 30 minute and a 15 minute and a 1 hour CISD. So this is a very high price point to get traded back to, like this kind of area here. So me knowing that and me understanding drawn liquidity, use that to my advantage, to understand that my direction had to change. So I ended up looking for the highest time frame inversion, which ended up being this 2 minute. I already said to my pal who I was on the phone with, I said, if we don't get this 2 minute, I'm just going to get off because it's just going to show bad price action and I'm just not going to really want to trade. And I need to become profitable because I just lost my fucking job. So, yeah, I need to kind of lock in with the charts. So, yeah, we had the 30 minute and then we ended up closing really, really, really strongly bullish out of this 2 minute, which is a good thing, but not a good thing for our entry. Because if we entered up here, our fucking stop loss, we would have hardly got a 1-to-1 with a 15 minute, and that's not really ideal, and that's not what you're wanting. It's not what I wanted anyway. So what I did was I set a limit at this 2 minute CISD, so that if price does come down, I'll get wicked in. If price doesn't come down, that's fine. I don't want to be in the trade anyway because the RR just isn't there for me. So then I ended up setting my limit on the 2 minute CISD, having my stop at the body of the closed candle, because if it wicks down below the body, I'm not really going to be wanting to be in the trade anyway, just purely because if we're going to wick down past this, we're probably going to wick out the wick anyway. So yeah, one thing I didn't notice is that we SMT'd the high after I entered the trade, which was my own fault for not looking at ES, even though it's literally to the fucking right of me. But yeah, we came down, tapped the CISD, got into the position. On the move down, tapping into the CISD, we wicked the 30 minute on ES, which I didn't realise until I got taken into the trade. So we did have this SMT that I was a bit concerned about, but we'd also had this BPR that we'd formed, so this 2 minute BPR. We respected this 2 minute BPR, giving me a lot more confidence in the trade. And then I just kind of let it run, let it do its thing. I risked 230 on this trade. Yeah, 230. And then I forgot what I was about to say there. Fuck knows. I risked 230 on this trade. Just a bit less than what I was gonna risk like 280, but I didn't like how strong the close was, and then this retracement as well gave me a little bit of a fright. So there's that. But then anyway, price ended up pushing up, and then I went break even at this internal high here, because we already SMT'd this high. If we take this and go lower, I'm just not going to be wanting to be in the trade anymore, because that just shows like one, bad price action, and two, it wouldn't be ideal for me to be losing because I didn't go break even at this newly formed structure, which is valid because like you could go break even at, say you go break even at this high here, that's not really valid because this is just low resistance liquidity. The actual like high that is valid to go break even at would be this 30 minute, because this is the top of this whole liquidity pool. But because we'd came back up and we'd retraced back down into a fair value gap, this is technically a new high. This is the high that took out this high, and it's also the high that edged this high. So to be fair, you could go break even at either one of these highs now, but because this is just a new swing, I'd go breaking at this high, because if we do come back lower, we're not going to be wanting to be in that trade anymore. We also did SMT the 15 minute gap. So what I did was I had two sell limits at the 30 minute that we ended up tapping, taking me out, and then I moved my stop loss, my break even to where my break even was, so this high here. And then price ended up just kept edging this 15 minute gap, and I just didn't really like it. If I go on 1 minute, maybe we'll see better. We just kept like edging, and I was just like, right, fuck this. So I moved my stop to the 30 minute, and then ended up getting a full TP there for like it was a bit better than that. It was like a 1 to 1.7. 1 to 1.75, securing me. Oh, I'm not gonna be able to show you. Wait, I don't know if you'll be able to see on my phone. Let's see. I don't know if you would see that shit. But, let me flip this around so you might be able to see better. $400. That's 524. So I was up 54. No, 5.2. So I made 400 in the day today, which is fucking solid. And yeah, little fucking W day on the charts. So yeah, I mean, there's not much else for me to really go over. Yeah. Oh, we also tapped the 0.62, which is just a little bit more of a discount. I do call this range between. I don't know if this is right, but I call this OTE. But I don't know if people just call like the line OTE or like between the 0.62 and the 0.709. I don't know if people call this OTE or the other thing OTE, but we technically tapped into OTE as well, which I liked. So, yeah, W trade, very very fucking nice. And yeah, so that's the trade recap. Very solid. First payout since fucking November. It's only like what is that? $400. So it's like 320 something buck. Like pound to pound. But I'll probably take the 300 out so I can be eligible for a payout still. Because I've got daily payouts on Tradify. So if I keep 2.1 in, I'll still be eligible for another payout as long as I make more than 2.1. And I can take that out. So I'm probably just going to take 300 out. That's $227. So yeah, W in the chat. Pretty happy, pretty chuffed with what's happened today. So yeah, enjoy guys, enjoy.